What's going on, everyone? Welcome back here to the channel of me, Stay, for another Apex Legends video. Hope you're having a fantastic day, but today I'm going to be showing you guys the best possible setting combinations you guys can be using on console as of right now. If you guys didn't already know, in the Season 1 Battle Pass, which was just released, they actually added a couple more setting combos into the settings menu. So you guys can go on in, mess around with them. They're actually pretty advanced, and I'm quite a fan of them. So without further ado, guys, if you liked today's video, I'd appreciate it if you did drop a like. Subscribe if you guys think you would come back and watch more of my content, and turn those notifications if you guys want to keep posted with the latest Apex Legends content. Now let's dive on into these settings and get you guys started. All right, guys, so here in the settings, I'm gonna run you all through every single one of these menus to give you every little nook and cranny detail of my settings layout. You guys don't have to use everything. If you'd rather fast forward to get to a certain section, go ahead and do so. But once again, I'm gonna cover everything. I'm gonna dive right on into it now because it's gonna be quite lengthy, and I don't want it to be too lengthy. So interact prompt style, leave this on default. It can be like difficult to differentiate between skull piercers and precision chokes sometimes. Hop ups in general, so I leave that on default. It's easiest to see. Button hints, I turn that off. I'm not new to the game anymore. If you guys are, I'll leave that on. Crosshair damage feedback, I put this to both your X with the shield icon, so this way you guys can see their shield levels and know, like, if they basically break down to their base health, you can then push. It's great for just information, like feedback. So I leave this on both. Damage numbers, I set this to both. People argue that it's too much going on the screen and they prefer just floating or just stacking, but I like both because, once again, more feedback the better in terms of damage strictly. Okay, now moving it on down to our ping opacity, I leave this on faded. I don't like intrusive things on my screen sometimes, especially things that are unnecessary, so I leave this to faded. Obituaries, personal preference, I leave this on. Incoming damage feedback, I leave this on 3D. Okay, damage feedback can be kind of invasive to your screen, so either choose 2D or 3D, but I don't recommend you choose both. But out of 2D and 3D, I like 3D better. Moving on down here, streamer mode, if you're a streamer, go ahead, use it. I'm a streamer, so I have this to all just because I honestly don't like flashing names. But if you guys aren't, then you can turn this off. Honestly, it's not really for you, it's for the viewers. Usage, I cannot speak, guys. Usage sharing settings, I leave this enabled. It helps out respawn. Colorblind mode, I set this to off. I know some people like these colorblind modes, but honestly, these ones right here are kind of weird, especially when it gets to your rarities. So I leave this off. Subtitles, I have these on. That's personal preference. I like seeing when my teammates are talking in game, like the actual characters talking. It's nice to be able to read what they're saying on screen. Subtitle size, set that to normal. Enable accessibility chat features off, and then convert incoming voice to chat text. I know some of you guys like that, but I don't. Okay, I leave that off. Now this is the meat and potatoes, what you guys care about right here. We're gonna get into our controller settings, and this is where some of the new things after Season 1 got implemented. So taking a look right here, we have our button layouts. Now me personally, as you guys can see, I rock a default because I use a scuff. Okay, on my scuff, I set my jump paddle to the back left and then my slide to the back right. My middle back right is to actually pick up things and like open doors, and then my middle back left is to put away my weapon. I forgot for a sec. So that's what I use on my scuff, if you guys were wondering. But don't worry, I'm going to be covering regular PlayStation controllers because that's what I used majority of the time before I got this. So if you guys are on a regular PlayStation controller, I most definitely, and I cannot stress enough, recommend Evolve. Nothing comes close to Evolve's package here. You can jump with L1 and crouch and slide with R3, the right joystick. So no other package in this game allows you to be as mobile as you are with Evolved. Bumper jumper is as close as you're going to get to that with jumping with L1. But at the end of the day, you still got to take your thumb off the joystick to slide. So not good. Stick to Evolve, guys. It might be a little bit weird at first, but it will be worth it at the end of the day. Okay, so Evolved is what you want. Now moving it on down, where were we? Stick layout. Yeah, stick layouts right here. So I leave this on default. You guys could change it up if you want. I don't like that. Interact reload button, I do tap to use and reload. I don't want to be having to hold to reload my guns. That'd be insane. But one thing you do want to hold is your crouch button. Okay, if you guys didn't already know, on console bunny hopping isn't possible with the toggle button. So if you guys put it on hold, it's kind of weird, but watch, you slide and then you can time up your bunny hops while healing. So you'll be able to do that, but you can't, once again, you can't do that if you have it on toggle. I'll just show you really quick. Watch. You slow down instantly. See? It's like, it's really weird, especially when you're healing. It may not look like it there, but when you're healing, trust me, you get like one hop and you're stuck. Okay, so back to the settings. We got a crouch button, set that to hold. Aim button, I'm holding that, I'm not toggling. L2 R2 button, dead zones. This was one of the new features they implemented into the game after season 1. All right, so these dead zones, if you guys don't know what they are, they determine how sensitive the L2 and R2 buttons are when pressed. So if you guys are pushing down your triggers, okay, instead of having to push it all the way down here to activate it, you may only have to push it to here, like very slightly, you know what I mean? So you want to activate that. That means you're gonna initiate your fire button much quicker than someone who has this set to, like, let's say max. It's just not smart to have that high, so set that to none. Now moving it down, as you guys can see, all of my sensitivities and response curves and look dead zones are blacked out. That's because of another new feature implemented into these settings. It's right below. I'm gonna get into it in just one sec. But your movement dead zones, set that to small, guys. Okay, basically your movement dead zone is if you're tapping your joystick very slightly, okay, it's gonna be a small dead zone and then you'll start moving. But if you have this to large, you're really gonna have to crank your joystick to even get your legend to move. So keep this on small. That's huge. Now going down to our inverted look, leave this on off unless you guys like it. Vibration, leave that off as well. You guys want to play basketball and try to you wouldn't try to shoot a basketball while someone's shaking you. So why would you do that during video games while you're trying to shoot a target? And now this is where our advanced look controls come into play, these new settings. Okay, so you're gonna come in here and basically at the top it's going to be off for you, but crank that on, and this is where we get into the fine details of your looking settings. So our dead zone, set that all the way to off again. Initially it's all the way up here. You don't want that, okay? It makes looking around fairly choppy, and when you're trying to snap onto targets, basically you'll move, and then when you're like, why is my joystick moving at the very like beginning, you probably won't notice it, but it happens, and then you snap, and it's like, it's hard to be clunky and hit a target at the same time. So set this all the way down. Now our outer threshold, I'm going to read this one to you guys because it's actually a really cool setting. Width of the outer buffer defining the boundary of max stick input. Some controllers need a very slight amount. This boundary is also where any extra yaw or pitch settings will take effect. So if you guys take a look at the curve at the bottom right of the screen right now, as I increase it, it gets even bigger, which means your joystick is essentially shrinking. You guys want this all the way down. It like going all the way up here would basically make your PS4 controller turn into a Nintendo Switch joystick. So that's absolutely tiny to work with. You want as much, like as big of a surface area as possible, so the slightest movements will be very, like, you know, incremental. You can be most precise. Now going down to our response curve, I left this on default. I've been playing with the default response curve, and if you guys like play with them, they get pretty fast, but I stick to default. Okay, target compensation, I put this on. I just leave it on, guys. Yaw speed, I actually increase this, okay, because it affects how quickly the view turns left or right. So this is essentially your sensitivity. I put this 15 ticks above the default. So if you guys look here, I basically notched it up 15 ticks all the way to here. And then I did the same thing with the pitch speed, because this is how quickly you're gonna look up and down. So we got left and right here, and then up and down here. Now these turning extra yaws, this is going to affect when stick input as a maximum, okay, how much more quickly will the view turn left or right. It allows basically for quicker and snappier lock-ons without suffering the loss of control, basically. So I crank this all the way up. Some of you guys might disagree with me, but I crank it to the max. But now these turning ramp up times and turning ramp up delays, I set all the way to 0, because that's just going to mess with what you've already set with over here. So I leave these to 0, really fine tune these upper settings that I'm flashing on right now, and then I leave these on 0. Now it's going to apply in the same way, because we're going to take a look at these aim down sight settings. Same thing, okay, you're dealing with the sensitivities, except this one I only crank 10. It's about 30% of the meter, okay? So my aim down sight speeds for our pitch and yaws for up, down, left, and rights are at about 30% of the meter, okay? Now moving on down here to our turning extra yaw, I crank this to 0, I crank this to 0, and then the rest of it to 0, because your aim down sight sensitivity, I like it to be very dull. I like being precise with my shots, and on console it's pretty difficult to do so with a high sensitivity. So I just set my initial sensitivities left, right, up, and down, and then I don't touch it afterwards. So that right there, my friends, is going to do it for all your looking sensitivities. There's a lot of them. Make sure to go backtrack and fine-tune anything you guys missed. And if you guys want to try something on your own, go ahead, play with it. There's a ton of fun in this. But that's going to do it for our controller layouts, my friends. Lot to go through, right? So we've covered gameplay, covered controller. We're going to dive on into the video settings. There's not too much more. Our brightness, I've actually cranked this up to 100. I just like my screen being bright. I hate not being able to see people due to shadows and all that. So I crank that. This is another important one, your field of view, guys. Crank this to 110. I'm going to show you really quick, right? Look at my screen. This is what it looks like. Field of view of 110. Now, if you guys go back to your settings and crank this all the way down to 70, look at this, okay? Your changes, video set have not been applied. Wait, oh, apply. Look at that. You can just see it from the settings menu. It's like we're in a magnifying glass right now. I don't know why anybody would play on this, but some people do. So go back, crank that to the max, and you'll get the biggest field of view possible. This is another new feature that was added right here, guys. Sprint view shake. You want to leave this on minimal. You guys are going to see right here when I run, it's pretty still now. This was one of the new features added after season 1. But if you guys went back to what you had before on normal, look at this. Your screen like moves up and down as you run. It's really annoying and it's invasive. It just throws you off in games. So make sure you guys set that to minimal. So that's about it for everything that's going to affect your game. And then we're going to move it on over to audio if you guys care. Me personally, with my stream, like I stream and everything, I make videos. So I have my volume settings on what's probably not optimal for you. But what does save a lot of annoyance is your music volume and your lobby music volume. I crank those down so when you guys are in the menus and picking your characters right before a game, it's not blasting freaking music into your TV or headphones. This game is really loud when it comes to that menu. So I crank these all the way to 0. Dialogue, I put that to 10, and all I want is the sound effects, man. I just want to be able to hear footsteps, hear gunshots, and that's it. So that is gonna do it, my friends. That is all the best settings I feel, which will take you guys to the next level on console, get you as close to that PC feel. So if you guys did like today's video, I'd appreciate it once again if you drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you guys want to see more from me, and turn those notifications if you want to keep up to date with all the latest things on Apex. You guys have a fantastic day. Go ball out, use these settings, and rock and roll, baby. I'll see you guys in the next one tomorrow. Have a great day. Peace out.